Hey, in this video, I will give you 5 areas of focus. Because we say focus, right? Yeah, you gotta focus if you want results on this instrument. But what does that really mean? These 5 things are the things you need to take into consideration, have to remember the value of in order to get extraordinary results. Because without these 5 areas, there is just eternal mediocrity, always being on a mid-level intermediate playing. So stick with me here and don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon and go download the free course we have by clicking the link in the description. Know exactly what you're practicing. What is your area of focus? When you're a beginner, it's really fine to learn, a lot of things in order to be able to play a song, right? Because that feels really great. But as you progress, you need to shift that and focus. Like playing football, for instance, is my favorite analogy, right? You go onto the playing field and you just play, right? You try to kick the ball, you miss, and it's really hard in the beginning. But as you play more and more, you get to a certain level of skill, which is cool. But then at some point, you won't progress any further. It's like there's a roof over or ceiling to how far you can develop. And at that point, you have to step off the playing field and stop learning songs, stop learning solos that other people played, and you have to dissect the whole thing and say, what sub-skills is the skill of mastering football or guitar or video games for that matter? What sub-skills are really involved here? And how can I focus on one at a time and really master it? So instead of having a daily practice routine that involves all the sub-skills of guitar playing, you have a yearly practice routine where you spread those things out and say, this month, I'm going to go all into this area. And the next month, I'm going to go into a totally different area. And that is the key to mastery. There is no other. If you scatter your focus, which is not focusing, over too many areas in a day or in a week, you will never reach any point because the brain simply can't work with that, right? If you want to become really good at juggling 3 bottles in your hands, right? You have to focus on that incessantly, like obsessively for an extended period of time instead of just a one day, right? You can't juggle 3 bottles, then go try to ride a bike, then go try to balance whatever, right? You have to freaking focus. And that's what we forget because we get bored. But there is another principle that we need to talk about that will just erase the boredom, that we replace something with something else. And that is the next thing. The next principle of focus is, are you just practicing for today? Are you walking in, picking up your guitar, and then practicing whatever it is that you feel the best about? You practice some kind of lick and you play it over and over and over again, or a technique, a sequence, whatever it is, and you get to good, right? And then once you're good at it, you just lose interest in it. So you might practice it for a couple of days, and then you move on to something else. Because it's boring to keep playing something that you can play. You don't really master it, which means that you can never use it in a playing situation. Everything you practice has to become almost unconscious, right? So you can do it as you talk, speak, right? It has to be automated in your brain. So it's no longer something that requires your conscious focus, right? It's just running like automated patterns in your brain, and at that point, you can release all that energy that you used to use for just making the notes happen. You can release that energy and use it to actually play music, to actually focus on how does it sound? How do I want to express myself? And that's something that just goes on without words. It's just a feeling. Right? I never played that before, by the way. It's just a mush of sequences and phrasing techniques that just, automatically just pours out from my fingers because they're all automatic. So my brain can just combine them completely as it wants. But most people stop at good, don't we? Right? Because it's not fun anymore. So the cure for that is to take, every time you're passionate about something, like say a new lick, a new technique, a new exercise, then before you start practicing, you ask yourself, how far am I going to take this? So you turn every interest, every excitement into a project, and then you replace your focus from the lick to the project. And this is super important. I know this sounds, well, what's the difference, Klaus? But the difference is that now you get excited about taking that lick or taking that exercise to this level. And you ask yourself, what would happen if I not only just practice this lick or this exercise to the point, or these chords to the point where I could play them and get that really thrill, right? What if I practice them to the absolute max of what I can possibly do with my body and my fingers, right? What if I did that? What would 100,000 repetitions of the same chord progression do to me, right? And then you get excited about that. See, first I was excited about chords or a song, right? Or what if I learned that thing there that I'm listening to? What if I learned it to the highest level so I could really just relax, right? And I could talk while I did it. Maybe sing as I was playing it. See, when I'm talking as I'm playing, I'm not giving much attention to this, but it's automated, right? What if I took it to that place? What if I did 100,000 repetitions of the same chord progression? And then that becomes the exciting thing. So you started with an excitement about the chord progression, about the song, and then you say, let me turn this into a project. If you do that, you're excited about the project. So you're excited about the 100,000 repetitions. Sit in front of the TV, you're just working on it. You place your fingers. You know you're going to play this much faster than I am now. So I'm really focused on how am I placing my fingers? Is it accurate or not, right? And so I do 100,000 repetitions as I'm talking to my family, I'm watching TV, YouTube videos. Every single time I have a chance to repeat that pattern, I do it. So I get to good, but I don't care about good. I go all the way to the project, to the final end of the project, and that can be 100,000 repetitions. That can be a certain level on the metronome of how fast you play it, but it's the project that you're interested in, not the chord progression anymore, because that changes your whole focus from walking in, practicing something for as long as you're interested in it, and then practicing something because you want to get to somewhere. The next thing is, what is your focus when it comes to how high you want to go? Do you want to become a master of, rhythm guitar? Do you want to become a master of blues guitar, of playing solos? Or do you just want to become mediocre? Do you just want to go for intermediate? And most people say, I don't have time to go to expert level advanced in what I do. Well, it takes the same amount of time to stay mediocre as it does to master something. Listen up now. If you're planning on playing guitar for the rest of your life because this is the most amazing freaking thing there is on the planet, right? If you feel that way about it, then if you just focus on being intermediate, then that's what you're going to get, and it's going to take you the same amount of practice time as you would going for mastery. Absolutely. Oh, seriously? Yes, absolutely. If you decide that I want to go to mastery in any area of guitar playing, that's what you're going to get, because you're not going to be satisfied until you're there, and you're not going to stop when you're good, are you? Because you're just going to push all the way up, and you're going to get frustrated if you don't, if you're on a plateau for too long. People who are just aiming for good are not going to be frustrated at all, which means that they don't seek for new answers of how to get to the final level. They don't. So they stay at mediocre. They stay at intermediate. So it's really important. And again, if you've been playing for 10 years, right, just practicing, sometimes a little bit more than others, then that's thousands of hours of practice time for any normal human being who goes to work and have kids and a home and everything, right? But if you focus on mastery, that's what you're going to get. 10, 20 years people play, and they say, if they had just focused on mastery, okay, say you can practice 3 hours a day. Of course, it's going to take you to mastery a lot faster than if you practice 1 hour or 30 minutes a day. But if your focus is mastery, then it's just a matter of, is it after 2 years? Is it after 5 years you reach mastery in any given area? Is it 10? Is it 20? But if you're not going to stop playing guitar, you might as well focus on mastery. And then that's where you're going to end up. Guaranteed. So the next thing is, what is your criteria of success in anything you do? See, when we practice, most people, they just take the sound of what they do. And if the sound is okay, then that was success, right? Naturally, we're trying to play something, and when it sounds right, we go, yeah. Your criteria of success really works at the most minute level. So if I'm trying to play something, like say an alternate picking lick here, there are so many little things involved. And if I have this idea that I just want to have the notes come out, then that's what I'm going to listen for, right? And every time the notes comes out right, I'm going to go, yeah, right? And that yeah is a little reward in the brain that the brain wants, right? Because it releases endorphins in the brain, and that feels really good. I'm not focused on whether or not I'm really placing my fingers behind the fret wire with the fingertips and not with the flat part of my fingers. I'm not focused on whether or not I can take what I'm doing to the highest level of speed, if that's what I want, right? Because I'm digging too much into the string. You could say alternate picking, for instance. It could be legato, it could be anything. That I want to fret the note just in the right place, because then I don't have to use as many resources when I play faster, and I have to fret 10 times as many notes per minute. I don't want these big movements. I want small movements, almost robotic, just in the surface of the string. Because that I can take to the highest level. Right? But I can't take this. I can't take that. So what am I focusing on? And you should be really interested in what are the different minute little things, like in alternate picking, in legato, right? What are the things I need to focus on to have the best technique possible? And why have the best technique? Because then you can really have the notes come out clear and you can take it to the highest level. So be very interested in what success criteria do I have? What am I actually practicing? I'm practicing legato. Yes, but how? What kind of legato, right? How should it look to be optimal? I'm practicing chords. Yeah, but how are you practicing chords, right? What do you want to do with them? The final bit here is, what kind of fun do you have when you're practicing and playing? You know, you can walk onto the playing field of practicing and you can just kick the ball around. You can have fun talking to friends as you play a little bit of football, right? And that's fun, nothing wrong with that. But what happens when you start, dividing people up into two teams and you start counting goals and keeping score and you say who wins and we got this time frame of 1 hour or 45 minutes or 90 minutes? What happens? Then suddenly you get passionately involved, right? You get excited and you hurt yourself, you bruise your knee, you become frustrated and you might win, you score and you go, yeah, right? It's a totally different game. Then the whole thing changes completely. And most people practice like they're shooting the ball around. They're just having fun, right? I'm just picking up my guitar and enjoying shooting the ball around. Practicing a little of this and then a little of that, playing over a jam track. It's called dabbling, basically, right? Once you start creating projects, once you start engaging in these kinds of focuses I've just been lining up for you, then, and you say, I'm going to create a project out of my enthusiasm right now. I'm really excited about this lick. What would happen if I played it 100,000 times? And I measure and say, where am I now? And where am I going to be in a month? That's really exciting. Then suddenly you have a project, right? Now you're playing a game. There's something you want and it's specific. You want to win. So we really have a brain that can deliver for us if we will take it seriously, if we will look up from our tabs and from our licks and say, what am I doing here? And taking that step back and saying, okay, how am I going to practice? What is this about? And it doesn't have to take very much time. You could listen to these videos in your car, driving to work, right? That's no extra time. You could listen to them again as you do the dishes and really get that implemented into your brain so you don't forget it. And then you can just make simple decisions to say, what am I mostly interested in right now? And then create a project out of that. An exercise that will encapsulate the challenges you're working with, and then just, hitting them. Knowing exactly when you've done it right, so you know when to be happy about what you're playing. All of these things. I hope you'll take them to heart, and then I sincerely look forward to seeing you in another free YouTube video. See you then.